Hi, yeah, it's Xavier, and I'm back down the bottom of the garden. Hopefully some of you are still out there trying to work out what birds are what, and if you're not a bird spotter, remember, neither was I. The only spotter I was up there was a moth spotter and a rock spotter. But you know what, have a look, see if you can go online and find out what birds you've got up in the Orkneys or whatever, and have a go. I'm going to let it run for a week or two and see what else I get, but and who knows, if you're UK and find a way to pick a winner, then maybe, I think I've got so many Chinese elm cuttings that are sitting there, I may well find an excuse to send them to whoever's got the closest number of right answers, and a few of you are doing pretty good. Bearing in mind I don't know anything about birds, you probably find you've got the right answers and I haven't. Anyway, I don't know whether this is going to be controversial or not, because having spoken to Dougie at Watton Bonsai, he reassured me absolutely outright. He said this practice of doing developmental pruning and wiring work on our broadleaf deciduous, he didn't see the point of it. And you know what? I respect him. In fact, a lot of professionals out there all have variations and different reasons, but sometimes you've got to pick the person that you're suited to follow under their broad footsteps. And for those of you who know Bonsai Mirai, you'll know this is exactly where this is all coming from. Certainly the last couple of years, ever since I saw one of Ryan Neal's videos, I've been doing all my maple work, certainly, that includes tridents, in this sort of 3-week period that we've got now. You want to get it at the point in autumn where your maples are just, basically the leaves are just falling away like this. And during that period, that's when you can say the tree has probably got the maximum amount of energy, apart from post-flush in sort of end of April, beginning of May. All that energy that the leaves have produced is now starting to be pulled back, and you know that because the leaves have dropped, and loads of recent YouTubes have done that, so I'm not going to go through the physiology. But what I will say to you is when those leaves are dropping, you've got about 3 weeks where you can do quite a bit of good secondary pruning. You can actually in the first part of the week take off some quite big structural branches, because this gives the time for the sugars and starches that are being pulled back and redistributed to set up on the new buds and new points of growth. So you can actually do quite a lot. You know, I can certainly attest with all of these I've done it. Did I just dribble them? I felt like I dribbled. Well, attest that this works completely fine, and it also, I'll be honest, it also gives me the opportunity then to plan for the work that I'm going to do on these next year, but it also allows me time to work on some of the other stuff early next spring when I want to do wiring work and stuff then. But yeah, I can definitely test, no problem doing in the autumn, in those first few weeks of leaf drop, work on your broadleaf deciduous. So that could also include your silver birches. I might have a look at the silver birch, definitely your trident maples and maples. That's why I do my maples now, and you're going to see me do quite a lot of work on a number of them. As you know, I've got loads of maples, I've got loads of tridents, and the next 2 weeks that's all I'm going to be doing. So I'll show you some of them on video, and I'll say now, if you're not of that school of thought and you much prefer to wait till the spring, crack on, that's fine. I'll just say to you, it's a great way of distributing work, and the energy right now in that tree, it'll set up those new bud growths. You can wire everything, it'll be fine. And the only thing I say about wiring is if you do wire, you know, we've got to be really aware with these high water movers like maples that you know, come middle April, end of April, when those buds start to swell, any wire you put on is going to start digging in. So you know, you may be prepared to take it off and reapply it again in another 9 months. So anyway, I'm going to start on one of these and then see how we get on. So it's great to be back from the Orkneys anyway. It says facing this mound of work. Right, let's see. So let's have a look at the cobra. This is one that I, you know, to be fair, I've never really got quite right because I haven't understood about setting the structure, and I'm going to use this in Ryan's words to do a reset. I'm going to have a look at what my primary branches are, and the primary branches I'm going to keep, but then I'm going to take all the leaves off and then have a look at what we've got afterwards and try and set the structure I want this to develop from. Still a nice deep pot, so I'm happy the overall. There's lots of You can tell by the health because you can see lots of buds and everything in there, and you've all seen maple buds, so I might zoom in once I've got the leaves off. So what I'm going to do, get the leaves off first. I mean, this tree is so much healthier than it has been, and again with leaves, most of them should fall off, but normally just peel back, and you can see again if it's healthy, you're going to see lots of new budding growth from these sites. And that's telling you that the root mass is pretty in a good state. There's a lot of energy there, it's looking good. And this is also the time of the year for all these broadleaf deciduous. Once those leaves drop and you've got access to the bark without risk of hurting leaves, your winter tree wash or your dormant spray or whatever, this is the time to do it, early autumn, so that maximise your opportunities of getting rid of all those insects that may be there. That's the other reason. Clean away that moss, get under there, make sure there's nothing that can live down there. So I'll also do my winter tree wash. It says growing success, that must be good. Treats insects and their eggs on dormant fruit trees to prevent future damage to fruit. It's not a fruit tree, but same thing. So I'll be doing that as well over the next couple of weeks. And the other thing I was going to say, obviously, because you know we talk about wiring, and the fact is partly you think, well, what's the point of wiring it if I'm only going to take that wire off again in 4.5 months time. There's a lot of vascular growth that's going to take place, so there is definitely going to be some shaping, and some of the stuff will hold. But this is also the time for the maples when they're really, even from my experience, they're at their most flexible. Those branches are actually quite flexible. You get into the springtime with all the sugars and starches flowing through, I've found they can be a lot more brittle. So that's the other reason why I'll do my wiring now as well. Let's get on with it. The leaves are pretty well falling off as they are, but I'll just hold the stem, pull backwards. You'll find often some of the greener leaves just pull off, but it's always good to support, because what you don't want to do is actually to break the bud. And I've done that before. I've been a bit too rough, and you end up pulling away the bud, and all I do on ones that are a bit tougher, just cut it off. In there, pulling up, pull the leaf down and away, support, and that's it. And just go around do the whole lot like that. And you know, the truth is I could wait another week, but I'm also guided by actually how good the weather is. But it's perfectly fine encouraging some of these leaves to drop now. They're all pretty well there anyway. I would quite happily say that 90% of the stored energy of this tree is now starting to circulate back, and it's starting to allocate energy to where it sees its best new buds for the spring push. So, okay, so leaves are all off. Now we need to start looking at it. Okay, it's Xavier, and you won't know it's the next day, but I do. So it's the next day. But this is going to become before yesterday on the next clip. But yeah, no, I had to stop this one. But you won't know I've had to stop this one because this is following straight after. It'll make sense in about 5 minutes. But what I realised is that basically this was going to be just an entirely wiring job. I did some cutting back and clipping, and I realised that I couldn't really demonstrate it that well in this light and this environment. It was also getting dark yesterday, so I've used a younger nursery tree for what I was trying to demonstrate, which you'll see in a minute. But so what have we done here? Well, first of all, the Cobra has had a complete and utter rewire, and I'll do some zooming up of that in a minute. But I've changed where I think originally the front was there, but what I've done is recognise that I really want to take that on a slight angle, so it's not the full feature. I've still got to do some carving out there, but so you're looking into that way. And then I recognise that what I've got to do is sort of heavily wire a lot of these branches, so I've wired them into some shapes. So you can clearly see here what I've done. I've just flattened out and given them some perspective. What I have done here is pruned and wired with a view that this is a great, like here, big long internode. They're going to shoot off in the spring. All the energy will go there, and then post flush harden, I'll cut there, which will encourage budding back here. And that's where I want, so then we'll get the shorter internode. But I need to basically have the direction going and recognise that that's where it's going to be. So if I'd cut back to here, then what you would get is these large shoots going out in the spring, and you get, again, the same long internode that you got here. So it's thinking ahead and going, right, I don't want those, but I want that to waste the energy, because that's the bud I want. So I want to have two short ones coming from here. And I basically applied the same principle going all the way around. Applied some movement. Now, no, here, you know, you'll say, oh my gosh, you've got 3 branches coming from one point. And I looked and I thought, oh, I could remove this one, but then you get this massive empty space and there's nothing new coming. But the bottom line is, these are the branches I've got with it. You know, maples are unique in their own way, so it's going to have that. And there's so many defects, or let's say interesting points with this tree, that it's even attracted a new well, it's a mud woman. It's a mud woman, and she's trying to make a cricket bat. Although I'm sure she thinks it's an instrument, but I think it's a cricket bat. Anyway, I wonder if I get Mr. Mudman, he can finally have a friend. Mudman friends. Anyway, half of you won't know what I'm talking about there. Just go in between us, but lovely the way the bark is going over. So yes, I've just applied some basic wiring. It took me about an hour this morning. I'll give you a spin. Nice, interesting Nabari. That's why we get the cobra, this lovely big cobra shape. Quite straight. It may not end up that way in the end, but I've just wired some interesting turns and movement in there. But again, here it may be, well, I actually want just here. There's a little bud there, and there are some little buds coming out from here, and they're probably the ones I want. But I'm just going to get these out of the way, and who knows, I may get some little shoots from here or something, and get some interesting movement. Interesting sort of stuff. I mean, here the buds are actually going to be coming vertically, which isn't any good, but what I will get is a bud from here. So that may be that I'll get something that I want from that. So it's just looking. I don't want to waste the length that's there, but it may be useful in the long run. Who knows? So I've wired it all out. Shari there. It's a lot of dead, and it's a gnarly old beast. Anyway, so that's the cobra, and that's done. It's what's called developmental pruning, with a clear idea of trying to build on the basic structure that I had last year, with some ideas of where I want the budding to be post-flush May. So by doing this now, I can take advantage of this work. I get the smaller growth that I want after May. So I'm going to just show you what I do. Hang on. I've mixed up some of my wintering spray, so I am literally just gonna, and with these crevices, that's what you want to try and anywhere that you're likely to get little insect larvae or eggs. And ideally the time you're doing this is October through November. I think that you don't do December because all the bugs are off getting their Chrissy presents for their family, so there's no bugs around. And we just give it a nice old spray. That's the process I use for the overwintering spray. To be fair, first year I've actually done it, so we'll see how that works. You know, you've got little bits of moss and stuff in here. I will continue to clean that out. I want to get this as clear as possible, and just make sure that when it's bedded down, it'll just be on the ground over winter. I won't put it in a polytunnel or anything like that. That there's nowhere that rubs and stuff can hide. So yeah, so new look cobra. Well, it's not massively new look, but I think it's about getting some shape in this. You are about to shoot on now to me doing some styling of some of those cheaper nursery bargains I got, nursery maples. Yeah, so okay, so we'll onto it, and let's just bring it in a bit closer so we can get a much clearer idea of that lovely gnarly root base, that cobra flare. And then we look up. Work our way up. I mean, it's a very, very gnarly, old, battered and damaged. I don't know, originally someone said it was either a cork bark elm or something like that. I mean, the way the bark is starting to rough up, it could well be something like that. I don't know. Is that Arakawa? I don't know. We'll see. You know me and my identification. So yeah, so there's the cobra. And there's Mrs. Mudman. No, that really is technically, isn't it? Got a funny coloured cow. Look at him. Anyway, I'm sure this has got nothing to do with bonsai. It doesn't even start with B. And now we're going to have a look at the Atra purpureum, which has never been my favourite for bonsais out of these, but I could do some initial states, and all I'm going to do is looking at taper points and obvious points where I just want to cut it back. So initially I'm probably, I'll look at this one. Great cascade from up here, couldn't we? Yeah. Front might be here somewhere. We can get rid of some of these little bits and pieces now. That's going to be the main. I mean, all of these, it's still clear. I'm keeping everything quite small. The initial idea is to, well, do you know what, take that off. So let's do that. As I say, they didn't cost very much, so I'll do it. Seal up the ends with putty. So what I'm looking at here is have something develop out this way. I'll cut that back. I'm not sure that that will have anything on it, but for now. Clearly you wouldn't have anything coming out. It's coming out horizontally, so you wouldn't come there. This here itself is only got two thicknesses, and I'm inclined to depends. Looking at it straight on, that's the straight one up, so you want to try and induce. That's the option. You can actually wire these, but little stubs. I'm literally going back to those. Now I'm not worried, they're the first stubs that are going, they're first buds that are going to activate. You see, this is what I'm talking about. But behind it, there's also two little ones here, and they're what I really want. So in spring, when the first flush comes out, these will shoot out, all the energy will be going there, and no matter how much light, there's going to have a massive internodal distance. So what I'll do is I'll let those grow out, and then post-flush spring hardening, so around end of April, May time, I will cut back to those and then activate those buds. So that's how I'll plan ahead. So I'm actually keeping two sets, knowing that that's where I'm going from. And it's the same here. There's this massive great internodal length. I have got the choice to cut straight back to here, and there's buds in there. But what I'll do is I'll cut to there, I'll let those buds go off in the spring, and then this great internodal will be dealt with by the post-flush pruning in May, and I'll cut back to there, and those two little buds will have already pushed out, I would imagine. So I'll have something back here. Same with here. I want them from here, and we've got the buds there, so that's fine. I'm not sure about this. I might actually cut that further back. And I'm tempted to. As I said with the wire here, I want to make sure that I've selected a thick enough wire that it will do the job with the minimum of fuss and give me maximum control. I know we get the ongoing discussion about wire and how we should do it and whether we need to be so careful, and I can only say for myself that selecting the correct wire Using a good wiring technique means you'll maximise the support that you need to get your bends in. Now, it could be the front, could be actually here actually. So just get up gentle, might bring it to the front, because what I might try and do is create a little bit of separation here. And the bonsai police are trying to get to me. Actually what I've managed to now is you've created enough of a separation there that can actually form a back branch. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And all I've got to do is make sure as I watch this, because this is going to flush out. And that'll die back. What you've got here is you want the knuckle to form there. Okay. And as I say, I don't know if I want to put any wire on that. Okay, so there you go. So a little bit of wire on it. And the truth is, I mean, I think I already know that I'm not going to have those buds. The buds I want are somewhere here. They're going to come out just here. So really the wire, I'll put the wire up there, but it's because I wanted to get this little bend in here. And again, I'll let these go, but the actual buds I want will be back here. So yeah, so that's that one done. We've got this one. And again, you could, although it could be tempted here, is just to put a load of wire on this and get lots of shape into it. Separate that, separate the two. That might be what I'll do. So I'm just going to do some obvious clipping there. Just get rid of those stubs that are already dead. Those ends off. Again, I'm looking for stuff to come further back, although here there's no sights there, but we will definitely get budding from there. Just going to try and set an initial idea of a design. Let's get rid of all that. So I'm going to wire both these. It's just about creating separation on this V here. Now we've got this great big bit up here, which, you know, I don't know whether we'd be tempted to have, but it's so high up the tree, the thickness of the trunk, that this is going to be reduced a lot, an awful lot more. Can't really see what the roots are like. It's still in its little baggie down there, so a little bit of movement already there, so let's go with that movement. Let's just try and induce some sort of shape. I can't see much, to be honest. That I probably won't keep, but I'm interested to see what happens here maybe. And it's just creating a little, that's the bit. I just want to get a little bit more of a shape in there. If I look at bud sites, I'll cut these right back. Do that now. I don't want anything there. So I have stuff budding there, it means nothing's going to get fed there. So being more logical about it, I probably want to do that. Okay, so we'll get the initial buds coming out here. They're the ones I want up there though. Same with there, we've got those buds there. So I'll let those flush, that's where all the energy goes. This will be the second flush from here, which I'll do, which will come up in May, so we'll get a much smaller, tighter growth. If you look there, got a lovely little movement and shape there. And the truth is, I'm not actually going to want that, but there is a little bud there. So watching that, that's hopefully where I'm going to get. So really, you take all these top bits off, everything look is down here. That's what I really wanted, that initial trunk shape movement. There's no point wiring this, because otherwise all you've got is this is all the same thickness, and it just doesn't. You want to get that sort of taper with different every time a new shoot comes out, that's where you're cutting back to. So no, let's leave it at that. So that's that one. But this air layer one, all I've done with this is just cut it back. Sometimes I'm not going to put wire on it. It's just selecting, reducing 3s and 2s. This one's got a lot of aphid infestation, so I'm going to have to clean that up. I've cleaned around the roots here, so I don't want fungus, but this is going to be in for a repot. And rather than this, I may well use one of my Orkney rocks. I think it'll be good for an Orkney rock going right here. So from Xavier down the bottom of the garden, and I think that's going to do for this section. Done these. You've seen the cobra, so I think what we'll do now is we'll call it quits for there. Haven't decided whether I'm going to show you another of my my larger maples. It's interesting, but again I think it might be limited, but I might just show you what to do with it afterwards. But truthfully, I've got a stack of maples now to get on with, and that's going to take up the time for the next few days. But coming up, Trident maples, and a big shout out to Shelley. The video you did was absolutely fantastic. Oh, my throat's just gone. I must have been emotional. And that's definitely in my save list, because it's a nice, quick, concise reminder. But again, your Trident maples, get onto them. And a lot of your broadleaf deciduous, you know, your beeches, your silver birches, get onto them now. I've got a massive silver birch there that I got from Ryan Houghton at the Doncaster Fair, and that's also going to be one of the videos coming up. So busy couple of weeks, and if you didn't think you could be pruning and doing your developmental work, and it's developmental work, you get to it. Don't put those trees away yet. So from Xavier down the bottom of the garden, wish you a happy and blessed day, or evening now, including that thing that's laughing in the background, and happy bonsai. God bless. Cheers.